My hands wouldn't stop shaking, so I pressed the folder against my chest like it could hold me together instead of the other way around, and I mouthed the words one more time. Tell me about a time you overcame a challenge. Because if I said them enough times, maybe my mouth would stop tasting like metal. The elevator doors hadn't even opened yet, and I was already failing. 7:52 in the morning, and I'd been awake since 4, standing in front of the bathroom mirror, in an apartment that still smelled like the boxed mac and cheese I'd made Junie the night before. Because it was the only thing left in the pantry that didn't need a can opener, I couldn't find. I practiced my handshake on the doorknob. I practiced my smile on the toaster. By the time I got to the parking garage of the Ashby building downtown, I'd said, "It's wonderful to meet you," so many times. It didn't sound like English anymore. I am not a man who begs. My father raised me to believe that begging was for people who hadn't tried hard enough. And I have tried hard enough. I have tried until my knuckles bled on warehouse floors, until my back gave out lifting pallets at 2 in the morning, until my daughter started asking me why I always smelled like coffee and worried. But 3 months ago the warehouse closed, and 3 months is a long time to watch a 7-year-old's shoes get tighter around her toes while you tell her, "Soon, baby, soon," and pray you're not lying. This interview, this one, today, for a logistics coordinator position at Ashby Freight and Textile. This was the first callback I'd gotten in 11 weeks. 11 weeks of rejection emails that all started with, "Thank you for your interest," and ended with nothing. I had circled this date on the calendar in red, like it was a surgery. In a way, it was. If I didn't get this, I didn't know what came next. I'd already sold my late wife's jewelry. I'd already told Junie that her birthday party this year might just be the two of us, and a cake from the grocery store. And she'd said, "That's okay, Daddy, cake is cake." And something in my chest had cracked so quietly that only I heard it. The elevator door slid open, and I stepped inside, alone, and I let myself say the line out loud. This time, full volume, because who was going to hear me? I believe my greatest strength is adaptability. When my wife passed, I had to relearn how to. That's a strong opening. I nearly dropped the folder. A woman had stepped in right behind me. I hadn't even heard the door chime, holding a paper coffee cup with no sleeve, like she liked the heat burning her palm, wearing a gray coat that probably cost more than my truck. She was maybe 50, silver threading through dark hair pulled back. Simple, no makeup that I could tell, the kind of face that looked tired in a way that wasn't about sleep. She didn't look at me like I was strange for talking to an empty elevator. She looked at me like she did the exact same thing on her own hard mornings. "Sorry," I said, heat crawling up my neck. "Practicing." Interview. "Don't apologize for practicing." She pressed the button for the 14th floor without me telling her, which I noticed, but didn't think much of. Most people walk in here without a script and wonder why it falls apart. "What's the job?" I don't know why I told her. Maybe because she asked like she actually wanted the answer, not like small talk, not like she was killing 60 seconds until the doors open. Maybe because I hadn't said an honest sentence to another adult in weeks that wasn't about rent or bus schedules or whether the school nurse had noticed Junie's coat was too thin. Logistics coordinator. Here, actually. Ashby Freight. Something moved behind her eyes. Quick. Gone almost before I caught it. "Good company," she said. "Tell me the rest of that answer." "The adaptability one." "You stopped." I stood there in a moving box of steel and glass, with a stranger's coffee steam curling between us, and I said it. All of it. "How?" "After Marisol died, I had a 6-year-old who wouldn't sleep unless the hallway light stayed on, and a job that started at 5 a.m., and no family within 400 miles. And I'd had to become a person who could braid hair with one hand and read a shipping manifest with the other, who could sit in a school parking lot crying for 90 seconds and then walk in for the parent-teacher conference with the dry face, because that's what the day demanded, and the day did not negotiate. She didn't say anything for a second, just looked at the numbers climbing on the panel. 3, 4, 5. "What's her name?" she asked. Your daughter, Junie. Junie, she repeated, like she was setting it somewhere safe in her mind. That's not a name you hear much anymore. Named after my grandmother, June Bug, my wife used to call her. My throat did something I didn't want it to do. Not there in front of a stranger, and I looked hard at the floor numbers until it passed. Sorry, it's a lot before 9 a.m. Don't apologize for that either. Her voice had gone quieter, rougher at the edges. I raised a kid, alone too, for a while. Different reasons. Same 3 a.m. She said it plain. No performance in it, and something about the flatness of it made me believe her more than if she'd tried to comfort me. The elevator dinged for the 9th floor, and 2 men in suits stepped in, talking loud about quarterly numbers, and the conversation folded itself shut, the way private things do when a room gets crowded. She stepped back to let them pass. I noticed, stupidly, that neither of them looked at her. Twice, though. Something about the way they lowered their voices half. A register told me they knew exactly who she was. I didn't put it together. I was too busy running my thumb along the edge of my folder, counting floors, feeling my pulse in my ears. At the 11th floor, my folder slipped. Sweat, nerves, I don't know, and papers scattered across. The elevator floor, my resume, my reference letters, and a photograph I keep tucked in the back pocket of the folder that I don't even remember putting there that morning. Junie, missing her front tooth, holding up a crayon, drawing of the 2 of us standing next to a house that isn't ours. A house with a yellow door, because she draws that house in every picture, even though we've never lived anywhere with a yellow door. The woman crouched down before I could stop her and started gathering the pages. She paused on the photograph just for a second, long enough that I saw her thumb brush the edge of it before she handed it back. She draws you a yellow door, she said. Not a question. Every time. I don't know where she got the idea. I took the photo, tucked it away, hands still not steady. Think she just wants something that looks like it's ours. The woman stood, smoothed her coat, and looked at me. Really looked. The kind of look that makes you feel seen in a way that's almost uncomfortable, because you're not used to it anymore. You'll do fine in there, she said. Whatever you were about to say next, about adaptability, say the real version, not the practiced one. The real one is better. The doors opened on 14. She stepped out first. I followed a few seconds behind, smoothing my tie, and by the time I looked up from fixing my collar, she disappeared down a hallway to the left, while the receptionist was already calling my name and pointing me toward a glass-walled conference room to the right, and I thought, briefly, nice lady, and then I thought about nothing else, because my heart was trying to climb out through my collarbone. The room had 4 chairs on one side of the table, and 1 on the other, which should have told me something, but I was too busy trying to remember how to breathe like a normal person. A man in his 30s came in first, introduced himself as the hiring manager, shook my hand with the kind of grip that's trying too hard. Then a woman from then, just as I was starting to settle into the rhythm of their questions, the door opened again. She walked in, gray coat gone, blazer instead, coffee cup replaced by a leather folio, and every single person already in that room stood up a half-second faster than seemed natural. This is Corinne Ashby, the hiring manager said, our CEO. She likes to sit in on final round interviews when she can. I have been cold before. I have stood in a warehouse freezer at 4 in the morning loading crates with fingers I couldn't feel. That cold was nothing compared to the drop in my stomach right then, because I understood, all at once, every piece I hadn't put together. The elevator button she pressed without asking my floor, the way those men in suits had gone quiet, the way she'd said good company about her own company, like she was gently laughing at herself. She sat down across from me and folded her hands, and for one terrible second, I thought, she's going to end this fast, out of pity, because I made a fool of myself reciting lines to an empty elevator, and she's too polite to say it to my face. Mr. Calloway. She said my name, Weston Calloway, the first time anyone had said my full name, all day. Before we start, I want to be honest with you, because I think you'll appreciate honesty more than most people in this room today. I nodded, couldn't speak yet. I ride that elevator most mornings without saying a word to anyone. I've done it for 11 years. I don't know what made me say something to you today. She glanced briefly at the hiring manager, who looked like he had no idea where this was going, which told me it wasn't planned. But I heard a man in an empty elevator at 7:52 in the morning, practicing an answer about resilience so his daughter could have a life. He's terrified. He can't give her. That's not something you can coach a person into. That's not on any resume. My eyes were doing the thing again. The thing I don't let them do in front of strangers. But I couldn't stop it. This time, I built this company with my own father, she went on, after he lost his job the same way you lost yours, a plant closing, no warning, 3 kids and a mortgage, and a wife who was already sick. I was 9. I remember him practicing interviews in our kitchen, out loud, over and over, because he didn't have anyone else to practice with. I remember exactly how it felt to be the kid drawing the house we didn't have yet. Her voice caught on that last part, just barely, just enough that I understood the yellow door hadn't been a coincidence to her at all. So I'm not going to sit here and pretend the elevator didn't matter. It mattered to me before you even sat down. The hiring manager shifted, cleared his throat, started to redirect toward the standard questions, professional as anything, and I answered them, the real answers this time, not the practiced ones, exactly like she'd told me to. I talked about the 16-hour days. I talked about learning Junie's school bus route by heart so I could time my breaks around watching her walk to the corner safely from a shift I wasn't supposed to leave. I talked about the night I sat on our apartment floor with a stack of bills spread out like a losing hand of cards, and Junie came out in her nightgown and said, "Daddy, why are you sat on the floor?" And I told her Daddy was just thinking, and she sat down next to me on the floor and thought with me, silent, 7 years old, just so I wouldn't be alone in it. Corrine Ashby didn't take a single note the whole interview. She just watched me the way you watch something you already recognize. 3 days later, my phone rang at 6 in the evening, right when Junie and I were sitting on the floor of our apartment. We still sit on the floor sometimes. It's become its own kind of tradition. Putting together puzzle of a lighthouse with half its pieces missing because it came from a thrift store bin. I almost didn't answer because unknown numbers had stopped meaning good news to me months ago, but something made me pick up. It was her, not the hiring manager. Corrine Ashby herself, calling, from what I'd later learn, was her own cell phone, the one she almost never gives out. "Mr. Calloway," she said, "I'd like to offer you the position, and I'd like you to know it wasn't the elevator that got you this job. It was everything you said after it. The elevator just made sure I was paying attention when you said it." I don't remember exactly what I said back. I know I had to sit down on the kitchen floor because my legs stopped being reliable. I know Junie crawled into my lap without knowing why, just because she could feel something big happening in the room, the way kids always can, and I held the phone against my ear with one hand and held her against my chest with the other, and somewhere in the middle of thanking a woman I'd known for exactly 9 minutes in an elevator and 45 minutes in a conference room, I started crying in a way I hadn't let myself do since the funeral. That was 8 months ago. I painted our front door yellow the week I got my first paycheck. It's a rental, and the landlord wasn't thrilled, and I don't care, because Junie stood on the porch when I finished and just stared at it for a long time, and then she looked up at me and said, "Now, it looks like the picture," and walked inside. Like that was the most natural thing in the world. Like she'd known all along. It was only ever a matter of time. I still ride that same elevator most mornings. Corrine and I don't talk about it much. She's not a woman who dwells on her own kindness. She just moves on to the next thing that needs fixing. But every once in a while, if the elevator's empty and it's just the two of us between floors, she'll ask about Junie by name, and I'll tell her about the lighthouse puzzle we finally finished, or the tooth that finally grew back in, or the yellow door that started to chip a little at the bottom, where Junie's bicycle keeps bumping it on the way to the garage. And every single time, I think about how close I came to staying quiet that morning. How easy it would have been to just practice my lines in silence, to keep my grief and my fear tucked behind my collar where nobody could see it, the way I'd trained myself to do for 2 years straight. But grief has a way of leaking out when you least expect it. In elevators, in parking lots, in the 3 seconds before a stranger asks what you're practicing for, and sometimes, if you're lucky, if you're honest, the person standing next to you isn't a stranger at all. Sometimes she's the one person in the whole building who's been exactly where you're standing. And sometimes, all it takes to change your whole life is being brave enough to say the real answer out loud to someone who's actually listening.
Stories like this remind us that we are never truly alone in our struggles. If you enjoyed today's stories, subscribe for more heartfelt tales and don't forget to share your thoughts in the comments below. Thank you for being here and I will see you next time.